around the district that we call the Line, or that used to be called the Line, back when this was a thriving bar and brothel district. Everything from the corner down here, down that way, was a bar or saloon, including the museum that you just came out of where you got your tickets. This museum used to be the golf saloon. Everything back behind me this way that we're going to talk about was the brothel district. There were 20 different brothels down here. There were about 100 girls that worked this district. They were confined to this district, even though it wasn't legal, just like it's not now. At that time, it wasn't very difficult to figure out that the brothel industry was very good for the city of Pensacola, so they confined it to this area to keep it kind of quarantined down here. They kept it down here for a lot of reasons. First of all, respectable people in Pensacola didn't want it spilling over into their neighborhoods. So they actually quadrant off an area down here, and the girls that were working in this area that we're going to walk along, and I'll show you the parameters of it, were not allowed to leave this area. They would not be allowed to speak unless they were spoken to. They had to kind of keep their head down and mind their own business. So the fact that they couldn't leave this area was pretty good for the local boys in town, because they picked up some side business by doing errands for these prostitutes. They would go to the post office for them, or the grocery store, or whatever, because they were not allowed to leave this area. One of the reasons they weren't allowed to leave this area was because of the spread of disease. A lot of these women were really disease-ridden, and Pensacola tried their best to keep that confined to this area. We're going to talk some more about that as we go along. One of the other things I want to point out is that down here in the bay, it was not unusual to have 100 tall ships a day in our bay in the late 1800s, early 1900s. 100 tall ships a day. The reason for that was because we exported the southern yellow pine trees that we have all around here all over the world. So we did a flourishing business in exporting lumber. With all these ships that were coming in, we've got multitudes of sailors, pirates, all kinds of colorful gentlemen that demanded entertainment. Also, we had the Navy base here. So the gentlemen would come down to this district and they would have their entertainment, which is what we're going to talk about. I'm going to start out with a little song that I put together to kind of give you an overview of the brothel district. I already had a tour earlier tonight, so I'm a little bit forced. You'll have to bear with me. There is a place that's called the Line. There's a place